sheet out. I think I just broke a third wall there. I am a teacher, and I've got a cheat sheet. Does that make a lot of you uncomfortable? Raise your hand if you've ever actually been told by a teacher, or your friend was railed on by a teacher, or someone was railed on in front of you, that cheating will never get you anywhere. Anybody in the room? Yeah, well, it's bogus. Right here. Okay. I'm a teacher, and I have chosen to run for Los Angeles City Council for a couple of reasons. One of the main ones is that I see a great deal of potential in the use of social media to connect people in government with real people, and then they can begin collaborating on building public policy that better represents people, which I believe is the reason we have government, right? Now, as a teacher, our main job in the classroom is to engage the students, and you probably heard that a bit tonight from the other two speakers who just came before me. And I believe that we should probably take that and put it into government, because engaging in government makes us all believe in government a little bit more. And in these days, I think that there's a deficit in how much people actually trust their government and how much people believe that the government's words actually mean something. Because time and time again, we've felt that there was a huge barrier between us, our belief systems, our lives, and the people who begin their careers in government positions and rise up over time, insulated from the real world, in that shell, in that bubble of government. And that's where I think social media can come into play. Now, to get an understanding of why this is so important right now, I'd like to take you on a little history lesson, because I was a history teacher. So get out your notebooks, and there'll be a test in a moment. At the beginning of our government, Thomas Jefferson and the Founding Fathers created this ideal of what democracy should be. It should be a government in which people, everybody, every single person feels emboldened to participate every single day, not just on election day, not just when they want to ask for money, not when they just want to get a crowd of people to show the TV crews, but every single day. But the problem was that when we started our government 230 some years ago, it was brand new. People didn't know what would happen if real people were put in charge. The other thing was we had sort of an elitist core of people designing our government for us. And they were saying things like, we have a lot of people who are uneducated, we have a lot of people who don't know how to use this government, and we have no clue what's going to happen if we throw all these people in the mix. So what we need is sort of a buffer between us and the people we're helping. And you know, that sounds pretty awful when I say that, but true enough, about 4 years after the election of our first president, 1793, the French government was overthrown, and then they had this huge bloody fallout where they were just beheading people in the middle of Paris. And that's what happened with their democracy when all the people were engaged. So maybe they had just like a little bit of an idea of what would happen if we just opened the floodgates. But regardless, since the beginning of our government, we've taken these incremental steps towards putting power back into people until we've gotten here with social media. Now, there are three things I've seen in kind of looking at this that have prevented people from really engaging and building public policy. One is geography, the other is money, and the third is bureaucracy. Geography limits people because if you're far away, you can't participate in the everyday workings of something. Money is a limiting factor because if you can't afford to leave your place to travel that huge distance to go talk to people, you can't get there and help out. And then if you actually got there, bureaucracy tends to water down your voice. So now we come to this era where we have social media. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Foursquare, we have a whole catalog of things, Pinterest, and those can all be used. Somebody just tweeted that. Those can all be used by people in government to do more effective governing. Now, in practice, what does it look like? Well, everybody's got a Facebook page when they're running for council or mayor or senate or whatever. And that Facebook page typically is them broadcasting how great they are, or them putting up some pictures helping out needy orphans, or them helping homeless cats get into college, and just generally managing how they look to you. And at the end of it, they say, give me some money. And then some people go, all right, $3. But there's actually people in government who are taking it to another step. There are people like Cory Booker. He's a mayor in Newark, New Jersey. Can you raise your hand if you've ever heard of him? Oh, awesome. That's good. Okay, Cory Booker is this, he's like a dynamo. He just never stops. He's got about over 1 million people who follow him on Twitter. A lot of them actually live in his city, and they use it because he responds. And they'll ask him stuff, whatever that comes off the top of their head, because they know Mayor Booker is going to answer. Now, a lot of times those things end up being things like, you know, what time does the DMV open? Or what's the phone number for this thing? Or where can I pay this parking ticket? Or why is the park entrance at this place so stupid looking? And it's some stuff you could find on Google. But the meaning of it is that he actually answers them. And that builds a relationship between him and his constituents. And it's every day, and it's real, and it's in real time, and it's instantaneous. And so that's kind of a mutually beneficial relationship because he always knows what's wrong, when it goes down, and who's complaining. And with other social media tools, he can actually aggregate all the tweets that come to him geographically and pinpoint this series of problems. And that brings us to the next step. So how do we go from there to actually building public policy with all of these people? There are a lot of things that we could do. We could publish the budget online. You know, Los Angeles has this huge $4, $5, $6 billion budget. And everybody complains about it. And it's opaque. And it's a document that's like this big. What if we actually had an apps challenge where we gave somebody $50,000 to aggregate that data and put it on an app that was user-friendly? And then beyond that, had every department put that, whatever they spent throughout the rest of the year, into the system so that it would aggregate real-time spending. What would that do for collaborating with people? How many people do we see going to City Hall day in and day out? They call them gadflies. And they're sitting there in the corner, and they're just watching, waiting to pounce on a mistake. And even, it's small stuff. One city council member talking to another. Yeah, well, I think we tried that a couple years ago, and it didn't work. No, you never tried it! And they're like, oh. How many people would pounce on that budget idea? And how many thousands of independent auditors would we create just by having that budget system? And where could we go from there? You have a problem with it? You tweet it out. A line item problem? Tweets out. Goes to a system. Aggregates that data. Compiles the complaints. Generates a report. I mean, how awesome is that? If enough people complain about the same thing, well, then you've got this huge volume of data shouting at the rest of the world saying, change this. Why are we buying so many copy machines? Why are we spending all this money on these trucks when we already have trucks over there? The potential is limitless. So that brings me to the end. Why is it beneficial to use social media in government? Because for the first time, we could actualize what Thomas Jefferson wanted us to do. And that was, everybody dive in and create the vision of the world that we want. And it's fast, it's cheap, and it's straightforward. Cuts around all those things that have gotten in between the real people and the people who are in government. Thank you.